Well, hello everyone. Talk about for true moments right here. And whenever I was looking at this, I was just thinking too that you'll talk about for New Year's right here. But let's just say that if anybody were warned to were that if you were trying to work on a profile page or just something that just to be able to get a job going or something like that, then people may want to know too that what exactly are you thinking about whenever you do set a profile page or maybe working on some important files or anything like that, important paperwork or documents. And it sure seems that way that people may think that okay, well, if you want to go ahead and set a business name, and what exactly do you think that you would call it necessarily? But I just think it too that talk about right here. I'm talking about with this page right here with this but let's just say that in case if anybody will want to know too that why would you want to call a profile such as honey, if you want to spell maybe honey like this right here, and you're probably thinking too that honey, or something like something like instead of how about honey, and I'm sure we probably thinking too that if you're going to have a profile, and let's just say that you want to go ahead and give a company name by something, and then you're going to go ahead and just call it something by like if it has to be like a special type of character or something like that, for honey, honey by or something like that, or honey, honey, honey high. I mean, honey, or if you're going to be setting a business name of some kind, then people may well even want to know too that that if you're going to be setting a business name, just to show something like togetherness or something like that, if or honey sweet or something like that. So if you want to just call it something like honey sweet, sweet with an e. So if I were to set a business name, I would probably call it something like this right here with the four, and then a three right here. So it sure seems that way that when we think about a business name, what exactly are we thinking about? Are we thinking about praises? Are we thinking about, just a particular name or a certain character or something like that? What exactly are we thinking about necessarily? And people might even say too that, well, really, that if you're going to be setting any sort of business name or something like that, and you're probably thinking too that, oh, okay, well, yeah, what exactly does it mean to set to any source of profile name or business name? But people think that really that whenever you look at artwork, and a lot of times that the main reason why I'm doing this right here is actually talking about that whenever you're working on something and you give it a name, and let's just say that giving something a name is just like giving a suggestion. So let's just say that you're going to go ahead and you maybe give it like maybe a 5-star or 2-star review or something like that. Whenever somebody gives out any source of advice, that you want to go ahead and come up with like an idea for a business name or something like that. And if the number of companies that might agree or really like an approach to that idea, and a lot of times it sure seems that way. That whenever it comes to doing any source of work, though, anything that you're going to be working on, and maybe let's just say if you got the idea just by working with an activity book or something like that, and people might even say too that you're going to have a certain character right here, like you're going to have a character by the name of Honey right here, and then you have by here between a noun and a verb, you gotta have honey sway or something like that. Maybe with the T or a lowercase t or something like that. And so people may want to know too that what exactly does that mean? Honey sway or something like that. With the W or maybe with the U or something like that, and with the K. And so what exactly does that mean? And a lot of times it sure seems that way that whenever you're going to be working on something, and let's just say that if you're going to be working on something, and maybe if it was based on an idea that you came up with, such as that if you really like this approach toward this background right here, and let's just say that it came to your attention just by maybe the CMYK colors or anything that you were working with, anything that you use for the background or maybe for the wallpaper design or something like that, and it came to people's attention. And let's just say that, yeah, if it was related to maybe a set of cheers or maybe, maybe salt and pepper shakers or something like that, at the dinner table or something like that, and you're probably thinking too that whenever we think about that, to where that if you have an idea, like people I say that if you create a profile, and let's just say that this business name that you give it is going to maybe contain about maybe up to 6, maybe 12 characters or something like that, something that you want to use. And a lot of times it sure seems that way, that you really used it mainly just to go ahead and proceed with the following steps, such as if you're using it maybe for printing work, or maybe if it's to order photos, or maybe to get, to take a test online or something like that, doing with a lot of things going virtual, that you would maybe think that, a lot of things that you would want to set a business, any sort of business, name or company name or anything like that that you want to use. So it sure seems that way, to where that whenever you're going to be working on something such as drawing a picture or something like this right here, and you're probably thinking too that yeah, well, you may use this as like maybe your profile image right here. And so let's just say if there's another company that might come to some interest in looking at something like this, and to me though, that I could probably tell everybody here that this right here, just a little bit, is remind me of just a little bit of children's Tylenol. So let's just say if you want to use this as for an example, besides like maybe a date night or something like that, if you want to use this for like Tylenol, and people may wonder to where, well, Tylenol, I don't know why you would want to use it for Tylenol, just because that looks right here that two people are kissing right here, but with Tylenol that you would maybe include something maybe like a little handkerchief, or maybe something like maybe an ice pack or something like that. But let's just say that if something like this were on display on like maybe the medication bottles or something like that. So let's say if you were to be at the pharmacy and they ask you to go ahead and come up with the company name, and let's just say that Honey Sway is just something that you just wrote down and you came up with, and so you decided to give it that source of name for whichever reason why, that you thought that that was just something that you wanted to use. And so that's why it sure seems that way, that a name that you gave a folder, a name that you gave to anything that you're going to be doing online. And let's just say that if there was a file name, a JPEG file that you gave to a document, and let's just say that and how many people may say that, about guessing though, that if you want to guess, I'm like, okay, try to assume something, but a lot of times it sure seems that way, that whenever you do guess an answer to something, or do you just want to go ahead and use like a name to where that what best fits for what you think that's real good, and then what you would like to share with somebody, and let's just say that that if you think that maybe that any data or anything like that could be useful later on. But I'm just saying to everybody here that talking about with most of the time, though, whenever I look at the work that I'm working with right here, and it sure seems that way, to where that, whenever I'm working on something like this, and let's just say if it's a painting right here and it approaches somebody else's attention, and let's just say that, you want to go and teach somebody about what does it usually mean just to be able to create a profile and set a business name, set any sort of a company name or a nickname that you want to give to your account. And you're probably thinking as to where that, why would anybody want to spend so much time just trying to set the right proper name that you want to give to your account and all? But, still, that maybe if it's a name of a dance that you thought of or something like that, maybe a riddle or a story or something like that. But I just really think it's all about being recognized, huh? It's all about recognized, and you know how that is that that whenever something is recognized, then more likely they say that whenever it's recognized, that's really what it's all about, ain't it? Whenever you do stuff virtually, that's really about the system recognizing the tools that you're using and recognizing your activity. And so when we think about this right here, you even know if we might see maybe an arrow right here, and like say, yeah, well, this right here is supposed to be two couples right here, what it looks like, but it's like, yeah, it needs to be recognized so that way people will be able to know that, okay, before we take your suggestion, that what exactly is it that we're looking at right here. But I tell you one thing, everybody, that if I were to be working on something like this, and I was just thinking too that, yeah, well, that you work on something like this, but really that do people really have to have my permission, just to be able to use this? I'm like, oh yeah, so it sure seems that way to where that anything that you're working on, and people might even say too that what do you think that could be useful out of something like this? And a lot of times it sure seems that way to where that anything that you're going to be working on, that you can just give some tips and advice to where that yeah, whenever I was working on this, I was trying to it was a sketch at first until I did some Photoshop work with it, but then I decided to go ahead and use this as an example of something that maybe I would like to use, just to show somebody about, what's a good example of a business name. And so it's basically another way of stating to where, yeah, if you want to use it like maybe a favorite story, bedtime story, or something, something to remember by, or maybe if you're going to be starting a business account or something like that. But it sure seems that way to where that, yeah, anything that you're going to be working on, though, that it seems like it's all about practice. It's not really, the real thing right here, but still, that everybody else might even say that what if your idea does approach somebody else's idea? And let's just say that maybe if it's maybe for a recipe for brownies or something like that, or maybe a cooking recipe or something like that, people may even say that they're going to go ahead and use a similar design like this right here, but then maybe use it as like maybe for the label for like maybe for the not the vitamins, but the Tylenol, or if it's yeah, maybe muscle relief pain. I'm like, oh yeah, muscle relief or something like that. And like anybody probably thinking too that whenever you think about this right here, that yeah, I drew this picture right here to represent for New Year's, but let's just say that if somebody were to think that we're really, whenever I think about this, most of the time, it's going to remind me of the senior prom dance. It's going to remind me of New Year's, and I the way I drew it was supposed to remind everybody of yeah, about New Year's, the New Year's dance. But just kind of get some ideas about what to use for a company name. And people might think that well, really, you can really use by any character that you really want, really, but still that they say it has to go by a certain character, but it needs to be recognized the next time you sign into your account. It's not something that's just temporary. You try not to forget it later on, so the next time you visit your account, the system's going to ask you to please recognize, familiar yourself, and recognize the work that you see. If you're going to use this as the key access to your account, or for anything that you're going to be working on, in the near future, that try to recognize, for what you see right here. So I think that's really what it's about. But anyway, then, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.